Hello friends, I welcome you all to the class of English compulsory second year. In the previous class we started with the second short story included in unit number 5. The title of the story is The Sniper, written by Liam O'Flaherty. In the previous class we came across the perspective of the author Liam O'Flaherty, his place of birth, his struggle for existence, the respect given by his countrymen for his literary output. We came across his popular novels, and we saw his autobiography Shame the Devil was published in 1934. Then we came across outline of the story The Sniper, which is based on the Civil War took place between the Republicans and the Irish Free Staters in 1922 in Dublin, the capital city of Ireland. The present story, Sniper, is the story which projects devastating consequences of the war. The story deals with violence. The story deals with pains and sufferings which arise from the violence and the frustration which comes out from the war. The story projects how people are thirsty of blood of their own countrymen when the civil war starts. This is very heart-touching story in which the snipers, the Republican sniper and the Irish Free Staters sniper, they try to kill each other without knowing their identities. And finally, the brother kills his own, a brother kills his own brother without knowing his identity. And this is the outcome of the war or bloodshed. Today we are going to deal with the textual explanation of the story The Sniper. This story depicts the civil war which took place in the city of Dublin in the year 1922. Dublin is the capital city of Ireland, and Ireland, we know, is the part of United Kingdom. For your extra information, I would like to tell you that W.B. Yeats, the Nobel laureate, W.B. Yeats is the national poet of Ireland. The civil war took place between the Free Staters and Republicans. At the outset, the story informs us about the struggle between free staters versus republican, students versus fanatic. This struggle or civil war is the central incident in this story. Even though the free staters and the republicans are students and fanatic, they exist side by side. Their extreme opposition connotes a different message. And war becomes the harsh reality of life, and it converts the whole city into a land of dead bodies. This is the outcome of every war we know. It is paining scenario. The war results into the dead bodies lying in the pool of blood. In war, the smaller things like lighting a cigarette becomes a matter of great importance because it may lead to death. The sniper in the story takes the risk, but to his good fortune, he does not get killed. The soldier in the turret of the armored gets killed by the sharp hit of the sniper as well as the woman informer. In this way, war blurs the line between soldiers and non-combatants, between innocence and complicity. In the next part of the story, the sniper is shot in the arm, even though he succeeds earlier in saving himself from the armored car and the old woman. The wounded sniper strives to overcome pain when he is shot and plans an escape route. With a wounded hand, he tries to escape from the scene. He is mortally wounded at his arm and he thinks only of escaping from the opposite side. The physical pain could not distract the sniper from outwitting his opposite Free State sniper. The Republican sniper strives to accomplish the joy of killing and winning. Meanwhile, the description of the enemy sniper's falling body accentuates that war involves taking someone's life. When the war starts, there is sailing, counter sailing, there is firing and counter firing, and soldiers at both the end are mortally wounded. In this civil war, the sniper, the Republican sniper, he succeeds in saving himself from the bullet of the enemy sniper. But later on, he is mortally wounded by a woman and he tries to escape from the scene with his wounded hand. But it is not possible for him. However, though he is wounded, he feels that there is he feels that his side has obtained victory, his side has got victory, and the enemies are defeated. So, though he is bleeding, he is feeling pain, physical pain. In that physical pain also, he feels that pleasure of winning over the enemy. So, dear friends, today we have come across this outline or gist of the half story, let us proceed ahead with the discussion, or let us proceed ahead with the discussion of the text now. Let me read the textbook, then we shall have discussion of the story. The long June twilight faded into night. Dublin lay enveloped in darkness, but for the dim light of the moon that shone through fleecy clouds, casting a pale light as of approaching down over the streets and the dark waters of the Liffey. Around the beleaguered forecourts, the heavy guns roared, here and there through the city. Machine guns and rifles broke the silence of the night, spasmodically, like dogs barking on the lone farms. Republicans and Free Staters were waging civil war. So, in this paragraph, the writer has presented horrible scenario of firing and counter firing which was going on between Republicans and Free Staters in the Civil War. On a rooftop near O'Connell Bridge, a Republican sniper lay watching. Beside him lay his rifle, and over his shoulders was slung a pair of field glasses. His face was the face of a student, thin and ascetic, but his eyes had the cold gleam of the fanatic. They were deep and thoughtful, the eyes of a man who is used to looking at death. So this sniper, Republican sniper, was a student, and he was lying on the bridge, and beside him there was his rifle, and the writer has given description of his complexion, his eyes, his face, and he was looking for his enemy and all. He was eating a sandwich hungrily. He had eaten nothing since morning. He had been too excited to eat. He finished the sandwich, and taking a flash of whiskey from his pocket, he took a short draught. Then he returned to the flask to his pocket. He paused for a moment, considering whether he should risk a smoke. It was dangerous. The flash might be seen in the darkness, and there were enemies watching. He decided to take the risk. So, the boy or the student who was the Republican sniper, he had sandwiches, he had whiskey, and later on he thought of smoking, and it is darkness, everywhere there is a darkness, and in the darkness smoking invites danger, it invites risk. So this sniper decides to take risk, and placing a cigarette between his lips, he struck a match, inhaled the smoke hurriedly, and put out the light. Almost immediately a bullet turned itself against the parapet of the roof. The sniper took another whiff and put out the cigarette. Then he shore softly and crawled away to the left. Cautiously he raised himself and peered over the parapet. There was a flash and a bullet whizzed over his head. He dropped immediately. He had seen the flash. It came from the opposite side of the street. Because of his smoking, the enemy, opposite enemy or Free Staters sniper noticed him, and he fired at him. He rolled over the roof of a chimney stack in the rear and slowly drew himself up behind it until his eyes were level with the top of the parapet. There was nothing to be seen, just the dim outline of the opposite house top against the blue sky. His enemy was under cover. Just then, an armored car came across the bridge and advanced slowly up the street. It stopped on the opposite side of the street, 50 yards ahead. The sniper could hear the dull panting of the motor. His heart beat faster. It was an enemy car. He wanted to fire, but he knew it was useless. His bullets would never pierce the steel that covered the grey monster. So, the Republican sniper noticed the car. He decided to fire at the car, but later on realized that his bullets would never pierce the steel that covered the grey monster. Then round the corner of his side street came an old woman, her head covered by a tattered shawl. She began to talk to the man in the turret of the car. She was pointing to the roof where the sniper lay, an informer. That lady was informer, so she informed the man sitting in the car about the location of the Republican sniper. The turret opened. A man's head and shoulders appeared, looking towards the sniper. The sniper raised his rifle and fired. The head fell heavily on the turret wall. The woman darted towards the side street. The sniper fired again. The woman wheeled around and fell with a shriek into the gutter. So this is how the sniper very uh, quickly he killed or he fired at the man who was sitting in the jeep. Suddenly from the opposite roof a shot rang out and the sniper dropped his rifle with a curse. The rifle clattered to the roof. The sniper thought the noise would wake the raid. He stooped to pick the rifle up. He couldn't lift it. His forearm was dead. "I'm hit," he muttered. Dropping flat onto the roof, he crawled back to the parapet with his left hand. He felt the injured right forearm. The blood was oozing through the sleeve of his coat, and there was no pain, just a deadened sensation as if the arm had been cut off. Quickly he drew out his knife from his pocket, opened it on the breastwork of the parapet, and ripped open the sleeve. There was a small hole where the bullet had entered. On the other side, there was no hole. The bullet had lodged in the bone. It must have fractured it. He bent the arm below the wound, and the arm bent back easily. He ground his teeth to overcome the pain. So, this is how the Republican sniper killed the Irish Free Staters with his rifle, and in that process, the woman fired at him, and his arm was brutally wounded, and the bullet fixed in his bone, and his bone was fractured. He was feeling uh, acute pain of that wound. Then, taking out his field dressing, he ripped open the pocket with his knife. He broke the neck of the iodine bottle and let the bitter fluid drip into the wound. A paroxysm of pain swept through him. He placed the cotton wadding over the wound and wrapped the dressing over it. He tied the ends with his teeth. Then he lay still against the parapet, closing his eyes. He made an effort of will to overcome the pain. So this is how the snapper he killed his enemy snapper. Friends, in the next class we shall continue the discussion of the story. With this, I would like to stop here. Thank you very much.